Someone has become completely consumed by you, and this bond is strictly off limits. This situation carries two specific truths you need to face. Pause for a moment before you continue, because what you are about to read is not random chance. Music, you did not stumble onto this by accident. The person who just flashed through your mind right now is there for a reason. There is someone in your life, or someone who keeps surfacing in your thoughts when you least expect it, who feels an overwhelming connection to you. It is not a minor feeling, it is not light, and it is not simply music passing. It is profound, it is relentless, and it is silent. They are consumed by you, but not in a dramatic or explosive way. It is a controlled stillness, a way of feeling they have never permitted themselves before. Yet this bond feels prohibited, not because the love is missing, but because something is blocking the way. That forbidden nature to music explains two deeply significant things. These things explain why the pull feels so powerful, why there is space between you, and why neither of you can truly walk away. Let's begin. Hello everyone. Welcome to Psych Lens. Please remember to subscribe, click the bell icon, and choose all, because every video can shift the way you see things. First, you must grasp this music truth. When a bond is restricted, it does not signal weakness. Music, in fact, it almost always signals the reverse. Forbidden connections are rarely ever shallow. Music, they do not begin because things are easy. They do not begin out of boredom. Music, they do not come from loneliness or a passing attraction. They come from a profound recognition. This person, music, did not choose to feel this way about you. It built slowly and then crashed all at once. At first, you were just someone they noticed, then someone they admired, then someone they trusted, and then, without knowing exactly when it began, music, you became the person they could not silence. What makes it forbidden is not a shortage of love. It is about timing, the circumstances, obligations, fear, or moral boundaries. This is where the first truth reveals itself. This person is battling their own mind every single day because of you. They are not fighting against you, but they are wrestling their own emotions. Music, they wake up with you already present in their thoughts and immediately remind themselves why they must not be thinking of you. Music, they replay your conversations and then feel frustrated with themselves for smiling. They picture what closeness would feel like and then push the image aside, because wanting you feels threatening. Not threatening to their heart, but threatening to the life they have carefully constructed. For some, this means they are already committed to someone else. For others, there are family expectations, cultural traditions, social pressures, or moral standards they were raised never to violate. Sometimes, one of you is unavailable in a way that complicates everything. Sometimes the bond challenges everything they believed they wanted in life. Music, so rather than acting, they restrain themselves. Rather than confessing, they withdraw. Rather than reaching out, they observe from a safe distance in silence. And here is the reality most people never see. Silence does not equal absence of feeling. Often it means the feelings are too enormous to contain. This person is not settled about you. They are overflowing with emotion in absolute quiet. They do not speak because speaking would unlock a door they fear they cannot reclose. They do not act because acting would force them to face consequences they are unprepared for. They do not draw near because closeness would expose truths they have been concealing even from themselves. Carl Jung once wrote that what you resist will only intensify. That is exactly music what is unfolding here. Every time they resist reaching music out, the pull grows heavier. Every time they choose restraint, the bond music pulls tighter. Every time they deny what they carry, the feeling turns inward instead of dissolving. Music and emotions buried deep do not fade quietly. They amplify. This explains the strange push and pull energy you sense. It is why you feel their presence even when they are absent. It is why they enter your mind at unexpected moments without invitation. Music, it is why your emotional state shifts without an obvious reason. You might sense their energy hovering even inside the stillness. Music, you might feel a charge between you that feels unresolved. That is because music, suppressed feelings do not vanish. They linger. Carl Jung said that music, until you illuminate the unconscious parts of your mind, they will direct your life and you will call it destiny. Right now, much of what binds you together is music, concealed, unspoken, and unresolved. Because it has not been brought into awareness, music, it moves below the surface, generating emotion and internal friction. Music. This person carries you silently in their private world when everything goes still, in the space music between what they show to others and what they feel when they are finally alone. Music, they may appear composed and steady, but inside there is a relentless war, a pulling away and a leaning forward, a yearning followed by a sudden halt. This is not because you are unimportant, music, but because you matter far too deeply. They are afraid of destroying lives, terrified of betraying their values, and scared of igniting something they cannot contain. That internal struggle is deeply exhausting. It is why the connection feels weighted sometimes, why it carries intensity without words, and why separation does not music bring relief. Carl Jung also wrote that the meeting of two souls is like two chemicals making contact. If any reaction occurs, both are permanently altered. You have already reacted. Both of you, whether you recognize it or not, have been transformed by knowing each other. Music, something inside you has already shifted from feeling them. This is not fantasy. Music, this is not confusion. This is a bond that exists beyond rational explanation. Music, and this is why time alone cannot dissolve it. It is not sustained by routine. It is sustained by meaning. Jung wrote that where love and music leads, power becomes unnecessary. In this connection, power is music, not the objective. Control is not the desire. That is why it creates confusion. There are no games being played here. Music, there is no deception happening between you. It is simply two people overtaken by something unplanned and unable to fit it neatly into their existing lives. As this awareness settles, one truth becomes completely undeniable. You are not music, a diversion. You are not an error. You cannot be substituted. You are part of a story that has already begun moving both of you towards something more profound. As that understanding deepens, the significance of this forbidden bond will keep revealing itself layer by layer, slowly and music steadily until the next truth is prepared to surface. As that truth takes hold, something else becomes impossible to dismiss. This connection does not behave like a typical attraction. It does not weaken with distance. It does not yield to music logic. It does not disappear simply because it is inconvenient. Instead, it trails you both quietly. You might observe that even music, when you are occupied, even when your attention is pulled elsewhere by life's demands, this person resurfaces without any conscious effort. Music, it is not because you are attempting to remember them, but because something incomplete keeps pressing from beneath music the surface. The exact same pattern plays out on their end. They might spend days appearing completely unaffected. They might seem absorbed in their responsibilities, music, their family, their routines, and their commitments. But the mind gravitates persistently back toward what it cannot resolve. They recall how understood you made them feel without needing to explain themselves. They remember how natural it was to connect. Music, the recognition, and that strange sensation of knowing you across time. They remember moments that carried far more weight than they reasonably should have. Music, and that is precisely why it frightens them. Because once you have been seen at that level, you cannot undo that experience. This is where most people fundamentally misread forbidden connections. They assume the distance exists because one person cares less. But often the exact opposite is true. Distance is not always created by a deficit of feeling. Sometimes it is created by an overwhelming excess of feeling. This person understands that if they move one step nearer, they may be unable to return to who they were before. They sense that something irreversible is waiting on the other side of honesty, and they are not yet willing to dismantle the life they have painstakingly assembled, even if that life no longer fits them the way it once did. So they opt for control instead of truth. They choose their familiar structure over their deepest emotions. They choose the discomfort they recognize over a truth they cannot predict. But consider what that decision actually costs them. Every time they suppress what they feel, it refuses to disappear. It transforms into something else entirely within them. It surfaces as restlessness, music as distraction, and as emotional distance from the very people they are supposed to be closest to. They might begin questioning relationships that once felt secure. They might wonder why something essential seems absent. Music, they might ask themselves why they are no longer satisfied with answers that used to feel sufficient. They may never speak your name out loud, but you quietly become the measure against which they compare their entire life. You represent a version of emotional authenticity that they have not yet granted themselves music permission to embrace. This is why the connection feels unresolved. It is not simply about two people drawn to each other. It is about two lives standing at the threshold of profound transformation. You feel this too, even if articulating it proves difficult. You might notice that after meeting them, your standards changed in ways you never announced. What you will tolerate feels fundamentally different. What you want feels sharper and more defined. What you once accepted now tastes hollow. You might find yourself far less willing to accept someone who is only emotionally half present. You might grow impatient with connections that fail to reach any real depth. You are now acutely aware of what a genuine bond actually feels like. That awareness did not emerge from nothing. It emerged from recognition. This is where the second layer of meaning begins to emerge. This bond is not only about wanting someone, it is about awakening. Some relationships arrive to build a shared future together. Others arrive to awaken you to your own deepest truth. This one serves the second purpose, not because it can never become something more, but because its primary work is internal. You encountered this person at a moment in your life when something inside you was already primed to be moved. And they found you at a time when they were quietly questioning the life they had chosen, even if they never voiced it openly. That is why the pull feels simultaneously powerful and disorienting. You are mirrors for one another. You reflect the parts they have suppressed. They illuminate the parts of you that were ready to be recognized. This variety of bond does not follow conventional timing. It does not accelerate. It does not announce its presence loudly. It works silently inside you, reshaping your priorities, your values, and your perception. That is why even the silence that lives between you feels charged, because something continues to move underneath it. You might find yourself questioning why releasing this feels impossible. Why reason cannot bring you to closure. Why telling yourself nothing can come of this fails to set you free. It is because the bond is not fueled by illusion. It is fueled by a truth that has not yet been fully lived. And a truth once genuinely felt cannot be erased. You are not simply holding on to a person. You are holding on to an experience of emotional clarity, that fundamentally altered you, and they are experiencing the identical thing. This does not mean you should remain in waiting. It does not mean your life should pause indefinitely. It does not mean you should surrender your present for a possibility. It means you should understand what this bond is actually teaching you. It is revealing how much depth your heart genuinely holds. It is showing you the kind of connection that nourishes rather than depletes you. It is reminding you that authentic feeling exists beyond what is convenient or protected. And it is doing the identical work for them, regardless of whether they acknowledge it or not. What unfolds next cannot be engineered. It resists being rushed by desire alone. It cannot be altered by silence or by pursuing them. This is because this variety of bond only opens when honesty becomes more powerful than fear. Until that happens, it occupies an in-between territory. It is not gone, yet it is not fully present. It is alive in thought, alive in feeling, and alive in the quiet spaces where truth whispers rather than shouts. As time advances, the pressure between who they currently are and who they are becoming will continue intensifying. The same applies to you. Eventually, something must shift because a mind that has been awakened cannot simply return to sleep. And when it does shift, it will not emerge from mere wanting. It will emerge from genuine readiness. And readiness does not announce itself dramatically. It does not arrive through grand gestures or sudden confrontations. It arrives quietly, through mounting discomfort and through the gradual recognition that something inside no longer belongs to the life you are inhabiting. For them, this often manifests as a hairline fracture. They begin noticing that the roles they occupy feel heavier than they used to. Obligations they once accepted without question now feel like constraints they are trapped beneath. Their emotional routines feel mechanical even when their external life appears perfectly fine to observers. You are not the origin of this fracture. You are the light that exposed the fracture that was already forming. You did not destroy their life. You illuminated the parts of it that were already misaligned. That is precisely why this bond feels threatening to them. Not because it endangers their security, but because it endangers the constructed version of their existence. Constructed versions of life offer comfort. Genuine truth does not. Truth requires accountability. Truth demands courage. Truth requires a person to examine honestly what they feel and determine whether they possess the bravery to actually live from that place. Most people are unprepared for that choice. When to music the feeling first surfaces, so they delay. They manufacture justifications. They convince themselves it is merely music, temporary. They tell themselves their mind is creating something that is not really there. They tell themselves it will dissolve if they simply ignore it long enough. But deep bonds and music do not vanish through neglect. They transform into pressure. This explains why you may experience surges of closeness followed by sudden withdrawal, moments where they appear emotionally music present and then abruptly retreat. Times when you feel powerfully connected despite exchanging not a single word. That oscillation is not because they are uncertain about you. Music, it is a war being waged internally. They are suspended between the person they used to be and the person they are in the process of becoming. Music, and you represent that exact threshold. On your side, something equally significant is unfolding. You are cultivating clarity. You are beginning to understand the distinction music between raw intensity and genuine alignment. You are learning the difference between pure chemistry and authentic compatibility. This bond did not arrive to dominate your life. It arrived to sharpen your vision. You might observe that shallow attention no longer satisfies you the way it previously did. You might feel diminished interest in seeking external validation to confirm music your worth. You are less inclined to diminish yourself to accommodate someone else's comfort. That is music, not coincidence. That is evolution. This connection is teaching you self-respect without ever using a single spoken word. It is demonstrating what emotional reciprocity music actually feels like, even in its incomplete state. Once you have experienced that, pretending you cannot perceive the difference becomes impossible. This is why the bond feels extraordinary. Extraordinary does not translate to flawless. It does not translate to effortless. It does not guarantee resolution. It means it carries weight that transcends what occurs between you. Whether this relationship transforms into something tangible or remains perpetually unfinished, music, it has already fulfilled part of its purpose. It has expanded your emotional range. It has sharpened your intuition. Music, it has clarified what you truly require from love, and it has performed the identical function for them. That is why neither of you can simply delete it, because it is already woven into who you are becoming. You might wrestle with understanding why the circumstances are so unfavorable. Why did this bond surface when it could not be easily expressed? Music, but timing is rarely about punishment. Frequently it is about preparation. Sometimes two people meet music not to immediately build something together, but to be individually transformed first. Because without that internal shift, even the most powerful bond can collapse beneath the weight of unresolved fear and inherited patterns. Right now, both of you are being invited to examine something deeper than mutual desire. You are being invited to confront the truth. For them, the question music is whether they are prepared to live honestly even at personal cost. For you, the question music is whether you are willing to honor yourself even while uncertainty feels like your only constant. This is precisely why patience music matters in this situation. Not a patience built on wishful thinking, but a patience rooted in trusting yourself completely. You are not supposed to freeze your existence in place. You are not meant to remain anchored music in longing. You are meant to continue evolving, if choosing deliberately and living fully. If this bond music is destined to expand, it will when both of you can finally meet without concealment. Not fractionally present, not holding things back, but entirely. And if it never becomes a shared life, by its mark will endure because it has already recalibrated your internal compass. That is not devastation. That is a threshold. Most people move through their entire existence without ever encountering a bond that genuinely awakens them. They remain dormant inside relationships that offer safety but hollow satisfaction. They select comfort music over truth. They choose the familiar over the unknown. You did not do that. You encountered something real enough to fracture your old patterns, to surface your vulnerabilities and to demand that you expand. That by itself music makes this bond unlike anything ordinary. As time progresses, things will gain clarity. Not through force, not through passive waiting, but but through living with intention. People either rise toward music, the truth they carry within them, or they retreat into what feels familiar and protected. Both responses ultimately reveal the truth through behavior, music through decisions made, and through time. Until that moment arrives, trust what this connection has already deposited within you. It has given you awareness. And awareness, once genuinely achieved, changes everything permanently. As that awareness continues deepening, something subtle yet irreversible begins to music take place. You stop attempting to categorize the connection. You cease demanding that music justify itself. Instead, you begin listening to what it is activating within you. This is where your authentic power returns. The most insidious aspect of a forbidden connection is not the wanting. It is losing yourself while desperately trying to decode it. And you are no longer doing that. You are beginning to recognize how grounded you feel when you prioritize yourself. How still you become when you stop scanning for signals. How sharp your perception grows when you stop trying to interpret what the silence carries. That transformation carries more significance than you currently realize. While this bond once pulled you in with tremendous force, it is now delivering a far more important lesson. Music is teaching you how to remain whole independently. You are discovering that a real connection does not require you to surrender your identity. Authentic love does not ask you to exist in suspended confusion. Deep feeling does not require you to suffer as proof of its legitimacy. This lesson holds profound importance regardless of what unfolds with this particular person. On their side, the internal tension music keeps mounting. While you are absorbing this lesson with intention, they are still contending with it blindly inside. They feel the contradiction more sharply now between who they are in the world and who they become when thoughts of you arrive. By music, they feel the gap between the version of themselves that honors obligations and the version that feels genuinely alive in music honest feeling. That gap cannot be sustained indefinitely. People are capable of avoiding a remarkable number of things. They can avoid music conversations. They can postpone making decisions. They can sidestep confrontation. But they cannot avoid their own inner truth. Music without eventual consequence. Eventually, something explosively, but music quietly. They begin entertaining questions they previously refused to acknowledge. They wonder why restlessness has taken up permanent residence inside them. They wonder why disconnection has settled between them and their chosen life. They wonder why certain things feel perpetually unresolved. And even if your name never forms on their lips, your presence music lives inside those questions. This is the juncture where many forbidden connections either transform fundamentally or conclude, because genuine awareness demands a decision, and every decision demands courage. Some people music rise to meet that moment. They choose authenticity over appearance. They choose music truth over comfort. They choose expansion over paralysis. Others retreat entirely. They bury themselves in their established routine. They reinforce the walls they have already constructed. They convince themselves that emotional numbness and genuine stability are interchangeable things. Both responses illuminate the truth through action, music not through words. This is precisely where you must remain anchored within yourself. Rescuing someone from their own fear is not your responsibility. Waiting indefinitely for another person to